It was a peaceful spring morning in the small village of Willow Creek. Birds sang happily, colorful flowers danced in the gentle breeze, and children laughed as they ran through the narrow streets. In the center of the village stood a giant oak tree. It was older than anyone could remember. Its thick branches stretched toward the sky, and its wide trunk had witnessed generations of families grow up. The villagers called it the Old Promise Tree. Many people believed that promises made beneath its branches would stay in a person's heart forever. Among the children who loved the tree most were Clara and Noah. They had been best friends since they were 5 years old. Every afternoon after school, they raced to the old oak tree. They climbed its strong branches, shared stories, and dreamed about the future. "I want to travel the world one day," Clara said with bright eyes. "And I want to become an architect," Noah replied. "I'll build beautiful homes and schools." Clara laughed. "Then promise me something." "What?" "No matter where life takes us, we'll come back here on this day every 10 years. Noah smiled. "I promise." He searched the ground until he found a small, smooth stone. With a tiny pocket knife, he carefully carved 2 letters into it.
C'est plus sain.
He buried the stone beneath the roots of the old oak tree. "This will remind us of our promise," he said. Clara placed her hand on the tree's rough bark. "I don't care how far apart we are. One day we'll meet here again." The 2 friends smiled, believing nothing could ever separate them. But life had other plans. Only a few weeks later, Noah's father received a new job in a distant city. The family had to move away. The news spread quickly through Willow Creek. When Clara heard it, she ran all the way to Noah's house. "Is it true?" she asked, trying not to cry. Noah lowered his head. "We leave tomorrow morning." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence felt heavier than words. That evening they met one last time, beneath the old oak tree. The sunset painted the sky with shades of orange and pink. Everything looked beautiful. Everything felt painful. "I don't want to leave," Noah whispered. "I know. What if we forget each other?" Clara shook her head. "We won't." She removed a small silver bracelet from her wrist. "My grandmother gave this to me before she passed away." She gently placed it in Noah's hand. "Keep it until we meet again." Noah looked surprised. "I can't take something so special." "You can. It will remind me to come back." Noah carefully put the bracelet into his pocket. Then he handed Clara a tiny wooden compass. "My grandfather made this." "It doesn't always point north," Noah said with a smile. "It points toward home." Clara smiled through her tears. "I'll keep it forever." Before leaving, they stood beneath the old oak tree one final time. Together they said, "No matter where life takes us, we'll meet again beneath this tree." The wind gently moved through the branches, almost as if the old tree had heard every word. The next morning, Clara stood by the roadside as Noah's family's truck slowly disappeared into the distance. She kept waving until she could no longer see it. Days became months. Months became years. The seasons changed again and again. The old oak tree remained exactly where it had always been. Every year, on the same date, Clara returned to the tree. She would sit beneath its branches, hoping, waiting, believing. Some years she stayed for only a few minutes. Some years she stayed until sunset. But Noah never came. As the years passed, many people told her to forget. He has a new life now. He probably doesn't even remember. But Clara never stopped believing, because some promises are stronger than time. And deep beneath the roots of the old oak tree, the small stone marked with C+N was still waiting. 10 years had passed since the day Noah left Willow Creek. The small village had changed. Some old houses had been repaired, new shops had opened, and many children who once played in the streets had grown into adults. But one thing remained the same. The old oak tree still stood proudly in the center of the village. And every year, on the same day, Clara returned. Now Clara was 20 years old. She was no longer the little girl who ran through the fields with muddy shoes and a big smile. She had grown into a kind and hardworking young woman. She lived with her father, Mr. Thomas, in a small house near the village. After finishing school, Clara started working at the village library because she loved books and helping people. But there was one thing she never forgot: her promise. On the morning of the 10th anniversary, Clara woke up early. She looked at the small wooden compass Noah had given her many years ago. The compass was old now. The wood had faded, but she still kept it carefully. She held it in her hand and whispered, "Today is the day, Noah. I hope you remember." She walked to the old oak tree. The sunlight passed through the branches, creating small patterns on the ground. Clara sat beneath the tree and waited. 1 hour passed, then 2. Children played nearby, and villagers walked past her. Some people smiled because they knew about the promise. Others quietly wondered if Noah would really return. As the sun began to set, Clara looked down. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe Noah had forgotten. A small tear fell from her eye. "I waited for you," she whispered. Just as she was about to leave, she noticed something strange. Near the roots of the tree, the ground looked freshly moved. Clara slowly walked closer. Her heart started beating faster. She knelt down and brushed away the dirt. There, hidden beneath the roots, was the small stone they had buried together. The letters were still visible.
C'est plus saine.
Clara smiled sadly. He remembered. But if Noah remembered, then why didn't he come? That night, Clara returned home with many questions in her mind. The next morning, something unexpected happened. While working at the library, Clara found an old box of donated books. She opened it to organize them. Inside the box was a book with a name written on the first page: Noah Williams. Clara froze. Her hands trembled as she opened the book. Inside was a small piece of paper. It was a letter. She carefully unfolded it. "Dear Clara, if you are reading this, I hope you know that I never forgot our promise. I came back to Willow Creek many times, but life always pulled me away before I could find you. I wanted to return when I had achieved my dream. I wanted you to see that I kept my promise too. Please wait for me beneath the old tree one more time.
Noah."
Clara read the letter again and again. Her heart was full of happiness and confusion. Noah had remembered. He had never forgotten. But where was he now? She looked at the date on the letter. It was written only 1 year ago. A feeling of hope returned to her heart. Maybe their story was not over. Maybe the old tree was still waiting for both of them. The next morning, Clara made a decision. She would find Noah. She didn't know where he lived. She didn't know what his life was like. But she knew one thing. A promise made under the old tree was worth fighting for. The next morning, Clara woke up before sunrise. She looked out of her bedroom window. The sky was painted with soft shades of pink and gold. The village was still quiet, but Clara's heart was full of excitement. She had made her decision. She was going to find Noah. Before leaving, she packed a small backpack. Inside, she placed a bottle of water, a notebook, some food, a warm sweater, and the little wooden compass Noah had given her years ago. Mr. Thomas watched her quietly. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. Clara nodded. "I've waited for 10 years. If Noah kept his promise, then I must keep mine too." Her father smiled warmly. "Then go with courage. Sometimes the greatest journeys begin with hope." After giving her father a hug, Clara boarded the first bus to the nearby city. It was her first time traveling alone. As the bus rolled down the winding roads, Clara watched the green hills, rivers, and fields pass by. She remembered the days when she and Noah dreamed about exploring the world together. Hours later, the bus arrived in the busy city of Greenhaven. The streets were crowded with people. Cars honked, shops were filled with customers, and tall buildings reached toward the sky. Everything felt different from her peaceful village. Clara took a deep breath. "Somewhere in this city," she whispered, "Noah might be here." Her only clue was the name written inside the old library book. Noah Williams. She began asking people if they knew him. Most people shook their heads. "I'm sorry. I don't know anyone by that name. You should try the city records office." By evening, Clara was tired. She sat on a park bench beneath another large oak tree. Although it wasn't the same tree from Willow Creek, it reminded her of home. An elderly gardener noticed her sitting alone. "You look worried," he said kindly. Clara smiled politely. I'm searching for my childhood friend. The old man listened carefully as Clara told him about the promise under the old tree. When she finished, the gardener's eyes became thoughtful. I think I've heard that name before. Clara quickly stood up. You have? There is a young architect named Noah Williams. He recently helped design the new children's hospital. Clara's heart raced. Do you know where I can find him? The gardener pointed toward the tallest building across the river. His company works there. Clara thanked him again and again. The next morning, she walked across the bridge toward the glass building. Her hands trembled as she entered the lobby. A friendly receptionist greeted her. Good morning. How may I help you? I'm looking for Noah Williams. The receptionist checked the computer. I'm sorry. Clara's heart sank. Mr. Williams left 3 weeks ago. What? He resigned. Do you know where he went? The receptionist smiled gently. He said he wanted to return to the place where his happiest memories were made. Clara felt a sudden chill. She whispered to herself, Willow Creek. Without wasting another second, Clara hurried back to the bus station. While she had been searching for Noah in the city, perhaps Noah had already begun searching for her. As the evening sun disappeared behind the mountains, 2 buses traveled in opposite directions. One carried Clara toward Willow Creek. The other had already carried Noah their days before. Neither of them knew just how close they had come to meeting. Sometimes, life tests the patience of those who keep their promises. But destiny was bringing them closer with every passing mile. The bus reached Willow Creek just before sunrise. Clara stepped down with a hopeful heart. She looked around the familiar streets, the small bakery, the old fountain, and the narrow paths she had known since childhood. Everything felt the same, yet everything felt different. She hurried toward her house. Mr. Thomas was standing outside, waiting for her. The moment he saw Clara, he smiled with relief. You came back safely. Clara hugged him tightly. Father, I went to Greenhaven. I found Noah's company, but he had already left. Mr. Thomas looked surprised. Left? Where did he go? The receptionist said he wanted to return to the place where his happiest memories were made. Mr. Thomas's eyes widened. Then he must have come here. Clara's heart began to race. Did anyone ask about me while I was away? Mr. Thomas nodded slowly. Yes. Clara held her breath. A young man came here 3 days ago. Tears filled Clara's eyes. It was Noah? I believe so. What happened? Mr. Thomas smiled gently. He knocked on the door, but you were already gone. He introduced himself politely and asked if you still lived here. Clara couldn't believe it. They had missed each other. Again. What did you tell him? I told him you had gone on a journey. Clara covered her face with her hands. So close. Mr. Thomas placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Before he left, he gave me something. He walked inside the house and returned with a small wooden box. Clara carefully opened it. Inside was the silver bracelet she had given Noah 10 years ago. It looked exactly the same. Wrapped around it was a folded note. Her hands shook as she unfolded the paper. It read, Dear Clara, I carried your bracelet every single day. It reminded me of our promise and our friendship. If we miss each other again, don't lose hope. Meet me beneath the old oak tree tomorrow at sunset. No matter what happens, I will be there.
Noah.
A tear rolled down Clara's cheek. For the first time in many years, she smiled through her tears. He still believes. The next day felt longer than any day in her life. Every hour seemed like forever. She tried reading a book. She couldn't focus. She helped her father in the garden. Her mind was somewhere else. She looked at the clock again and again. Finally, the golden light of evening began to spread across the village. Clara put on a simple blue dress and slipped the wooden compass into her pocket. She also wore the silver bracelet once more. Slowly, she walked toward the old oak tree. The wind gently moved through the branches. The tree stood as proudly as ever, as if it had been patiently waiting for this very moment. Clara reached the tree before sunset. She looked around. No one was there. She sat beneath the branches and waited. The sky slowly turned orange. Birds flew back to their nests. The village became quieter. Minutes passed.
Then,
She heard footsteps,
soft.
slow, coming from the path behind the tree. Clara stood up, her heart beat faster than ever before. She turned around and saw a tall man walking toward her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The evening sun shone through the branches, lighting the path between them. The years had changed their faces, but their eyes were exactly the same. For a few moments, the world seemed to stand still. The evening breeze gently moved the leaves of the old oak tree. Birds sang one last song before returning to their nests. The golden sunlight covered the ground like a warm blanket. Clara and Noah simply looked at each other. Neither of them knew what to say first. 10 years of waiting. 10 years of hope. 10 years of unanswered questions. All had led to this single moment. Finally, Noah smiled. "It really is you." Clara smiled through her tears. "You came back. I promised I would." They slowly walked toward each other. When they were only a few steps apart, Noah noticed the wooden compass hanging from Clara's neck. "You still have it," he said softly. Clara held the compass in her hand. "I never stopped carrying it." Then she looked at his wrist. He was wearing the silver bracelet she had given him as a child. "I see you kept yours too." Noah nodded. "It reminded me every day that someone was waiting for me." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Noah laughed quietly. "Do you remember how we used to race to this tree after school?" Clara laughed too. "And you always said you were faster." "I wasn't. You cheated." Both of them laughed, and the years between them seemed to disappear. They sat beneath the old oak tree, just as they had done when they were children. Noah took a deep breath. "There is something I need to tell you." Clara listened carefully. "The day my family left Willow Creek, I cried almost the entire journey. I wanted to come back, but life became difficult. My father became sick, and I had to help my family. I worked while studying to become an architect." Clara's eyes filled with understanding. "I never knew. I wanted to return many times," Noah continued. "But every time I saved enough money, another problem appeared. I was afraid that if I came back without achieving my dream, I would disappoint both of us." Clara gently shook her head. "You could never disappoint me." Noah looked down. "I thought you might forget me." Clara smiled. "Every year, I came here on the same day." Noah looked surprised. "Every year?" She nodded. "I waited until sunset." Noah closed his eyes. "So did I." Clara looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I came back several times over the years." "You did?" "Yes." "I arrived early in the morning." Clara gasped. "I always came in the evening." For a second, they stared at each other. Then they both laughed. "We were in the same place, on the same day, for years, but at different times." The old oak tree had witnessed every visit. It had silently watched two loyal friends keep the same promise, never knowing how close they had come to meeting. Noah reached into his bag. "I have something for you." He carefully took out a small wooden box. Inside was the smooth stone they had buried beneath the tree years ago. The letters C+N were still carved into it. "I found it before I came today," Noah said. "I thought it belonged to both of us." Clara gently held the stone in her hands. "It stayed here all these years." "So did our promise," Noah replied. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills, Clara looked at Noah and smiled. "We finally kept our promise." Noah nodded. "Yes. And this time, we won't let time separate us again." The old oak tree stood quietly above them, its branches swaying gently in the evening breeze, as if celebrating the reunion it had waited 10 long years to see. The stars slowly appeared in the night sky. Clara and Noah remained beneath the old oak tree, talking about their lives. They shared stories of the years they had spent apart, happy moments, difficult times, and dreams that had kept them moving forward. It felt as if they were making up for 10 years of silence. Just as they were about to leave, Noah noticed something unusual. "Clara," he said, pointing toward the trunk of the tree. "Look at that." Clara walked closer. There was a small opening in the thick trunk, hidden behind a curtain of green ivy. "I've never seen this before," she whispered. Noah carefully moved the ivy aside. Inside the opening was a tiny wooden door with a rusty iron handle. "It looks very old," Noah said. Together, they gently pulled the door open. Inside was a small wooden box covered in dust. Clara carefully lifted it out. A tiny brass key rested on top of the box. When she unlocked it, they found several old letters, a faded photograph, and a leather-bound journal. The photograph showed two young friends standing beneath the same oak tree nearly 50 years earlier. On the back of the photo were the words, "Some promises never grow old." Clara smiled. "It seems we weren't the first." Noah opened the journal. The first page read, "If you have found this journal, then you are standing beneath the same tree where my best friend and I made a promise many years ago." The journal belonged to a man named Edward. As they read, they learned that Edward and his childhood friend, Samuel, had dreamed of making Willow Creek a better place. LJJJ, but life had separated them. Edward became a teacher in another town, while Samuel traveled across the country. Even though they lived far apart, they never forgot their promise. Years later, they reunited under the same oak tree and worked together to build the village's first school. Clara closed the journal slowly. "So, this tree has been bringing people back together for generations." Noah nodded. "It isn't magic. It's hope." They continued reading. Near the end of the journal, Edward had written one final message. "If you are reading this, then it is your turn. Every generation faces challenges. Every generation has dreams. Leave this village better than you found it. Kindness is the greatest promise anyone can keep." For a long moment, neither Clara nor Noah spoke. The words touched their hearts. Noah finally broke the silence. "I became an architect because I wanted to build places where people could learn and grow." Clara smiled. "And I became a librarian because I wanted to help people discover knowledge." They looked at each other. Then almost at the same time they said, "We can do it together." The next morning, Clara and Noah gathered the village elders. They showed them Edward's journal and the old photograph. The villagers listened carefully. Many had never heard the story before. Mrs. Rose, the oldest woman in Willow Creek, smiled with tears in her eyes. "My grandfather used to tell me about two friends who built our first school," she said. "I never knew their names." The entire village became excited. Inspired by Edward's message, everyone agreed to begin a new project. They would build a community learning center beside the old oak tree, a place where children could read, study, learn new skills, and dream about the future. As the meeting ended, Clara looked up at the great oak tree. The wind gently rustled its leaves. It was as if the tree itself approved of their decision. The promise made long ago had become something even greater. It was no longer just about two friends. It was now a promise to an entire village. The news spread quickly through Willow Creek. Everyone was excited about building the community learning center beside the old oak tree. Children imagined shelves full of books. Parents dreamed of a place where their sons and daughters could learn. Older villagers hoped it would become a home for stories, memories, and friendship. For the first time in many years, the entire village was working toward the same dream. Noah carefully drew the building plans. "It should be simple," he explained. "Large windows for sunlight, a reading room, a small classroom, and a garden where children can sit and learn." The villagers loved the design. Clara collected books from nearby towns. Some people donated storybooks. Others gave dictionaries, history books, and novels. Soon, dozens of boxes filled the old village hall. Mrs. Rose smiled as she looked at the growing collection. "This place will change many lives," she said. Every morning, volunteers arrived to help. Some carried wood. Some mixed cement. Some planted flowers around the building site. Even the children helped by picking up small stones and cleaning the area. The old oak tree stood nearby, watching over everyone. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind dark clouds, Mr. Thomas looked at the sky with concern. "A storm is coming," he said quietly. The wind grew stronger. The leaves of the oak tree began to shake. Within minutes, heavy rain poured from the sky. Lightning flashed across the dark clouds. Thunder echoed through the valley. The villagers hurried home, hoping the storm would pass quickly. But during the night, the storm became even stronger. Powerful winds swept across Willow Creek. Branches snapped. Roofs rattled. Rainwater rushed through the streets. Clara could hardly sleep. She kept thinking about the construction site. At sunrise, the rain finally stopped. Clara and Noah ran to the old oak tree. Their hearts sank. The wooden frames of the new building had collapsed. Stacks of bricks were scattered across the muddy ground. Many donated books had become wet after rain entered the storage hall. Some volunteers stood silently, staring at the damage. One man sighed. Maybe this project wasn't meant to happen. Another shook his head. It will cost too much to rebuild. For a moment, no one spoke. The dream they had worked so hard for seemed to be slipping away. Clara slowly walked to the old oak tree. She placed her hand on its rough bark. Then she remembered the words from Edward's journal. Kindness is the greatest promise anyone can keep. She turned toward the villagers. My friends, she said, her voice calm but strong. This storm damaged wood and bricks, but it did not damage our hope. Everyone looked at her. If we give up today, then the storm wins. Noah stepped beside her. When we were children, we promised never to stop believing. Today, I'm making another promise. He looked around at the villagers. I will redraw every plan if I have to. I will rebuild every wall with my own hands. Mr. Thomas smiled proudly. So will I. Mrs. Rose raised her walking stick. And I will make meals for every volunteer. One by one, people stepped forward. I'll donate more wood. I'll repair the roof. I'll bring fresh books. I'll help after work every evening. Soon, the entire village was smiling again. The storm had tested them, but instead of breaking their spirit, it had brought them closer together. As the clouds drifted away, warm sunlight shone through the branches of the old oak tree. Clara looked at Noah and smiled. This tree has seen many storms. Noah nodded. And it's still standing. Clara looked at the villagers, busy cleaning and rebuilding. So are we. The work began again, not with fear, but with even greater determination. Their promise had survived time. Now it had survived the storm. The days after the storm were filled with hard work. Every morning, the sound of hammers echoed through Willow Creek. Children carried small tools, parents painted walls, and grandparents prepared food for the volunteers. No one complained. Even when they were tired, the old oak tree watched over them, as it had for generations. Little by little, the learning center began to take shape. The roof was stronger than before. The walls were painted a warm cream color. Large windows filled the rooms with sunlight. Outside, colorful flowers bloomed along a stone path that led to the entrance. Inside, tall wooden bookshelves stood proudly against the walls. Hundreds of books filled the shelves. There were storybooks for children, science books for curious minds, history books for dreamers, and dictionaries for anyone learning a new language. Clara carefully arranged every book. She smiled as she placed the very first book on the center shelf. This place belongs to everyone, she said. Noah walked through the building one last time, checking every room. Everything was ready. A week later, the whole village gathered for the grand opening. Colorful ribbons decorated the entrance. Children laughed as they ran through the garden. Families arrived wearing their best clothes. Even people from nearby villages came to celebrate. Mrs. Rose stood beside the old oak tree with tears of happiness in her eyes. I never thought I would live long enough to see this day, she whispered. Mr. Thomas stepped onto the small wooden stage. My friends, he began, this building is made of bricks and wood, but its true foundation is love, friendship, and hope. Everyone applauded. Then he invited Clara and Noah to join him. The crowd cheered as they walked forward. Noah smiled at the people who had worked beside him. This center is not my achievement, he said. It belongs to every person who refused to give up after the storm. Clara looked around at the smiling faces. When we were children, we made a promise beneath the old oak tree. We thought it was only a promise between two friends.
She paused.
But today, we understand something much greater. She pointed toward the learning center. A single promise can inspire an entire community. The crowd applauded again. Mrs. Rose handed Clara a pair of golden scissors. Would you do the honor? Clara looked at Noah. Together, they held the ribbon. Ready? Noah asked. Clara smiled. Together. They cut the ribbon. Cheers filled the air. Children rushed inside, their eyes wide with excitement. Some immediately picked up books. Others sat in the reading corner, already lost in wonderful stories. One little girl opened her first storybook and smiled from ear to ear. Clara watched quietly. She remembered the little girl she had once been, sitting beneath the old oak tree, dreaming about the future. Now she was helping other children dream. As the celebration continued, Noah walked to the old oak tree. He gently touched its rough bark. "Thank you," he whispered. The wind softly rustled the leaves, almost as if the tree were answering him. That evening, after everyone had gone home, Clara and Noah sat beneath the tree once more. The learning center glowed warmly in the distance. "It was never just about finding each other," Clara said. Noah smiled.
No.
"It was about becoming the people we promised we would be." The stars filled the sky above them. The old oak tree stood tall and strong, just as it always had. Its roots held countless memories. Its branches reached toward countless dreams. And beneath its shade, one simple promise had changed the future of an entire village. Moral: a true promise is not measured by time. It is measured by faith, kindness, and the courage to keep believing, even when life takes you far from where you began. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.